Okay, this is your third video about reflection. Now, on all of these videos, even the video behind it, I am not doing all the problems, but you all have to finish all the problems on here to get full credit, okay? So we're going to talk about reflection today. Reflection is a type of transformation in which the geometric figure flips over the line of reflection. And this line of reflection is going to be key, okay? The pre-image and the image have reverse orientation, but they have the same shape and size. Therefore, because they are congruent, the reflection is in isometry, okay, which we've already talked about already. Now, we are going to reflect this image across the x and the y axis. Basically, we're going to start with the x-axis, okay? I'm going to recreate these points onto the graph below. So this is at 2, 3. That is M. O, N is at 3, 7. I'm sorry, that's N. And O is at 5, 4. Okay. Now, if I am reflecting it over the x-axis, all right? This is the x-axis. First of all, let me move this over. So if I'm folding it on the x-axis, that means that this triangle is going to come down here somewhere. We need to see how far it is away from my line of reflection. Look at M. If I count 1, 2, 3 from my line of reflection, then I have to go 3 in the below my line of reflection. 1, 2, 3. And that is my new M. O is 1, 2, 3, 4. So I need to go down 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's up. So you can just guess where my N is going to go. If I count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that is my N. And if I was to fold it on the on the x-axis, they should match up with each other. Now, let's look at it across the y-axis. Again, I am going to put M at 2, 3. M at 3, 7. And O at 3. Okay. Now, this time I'm reflecting it over the y-axis. So, again, we're going to count towards our line of reflection. M is 2 away from the line. So if I go 2 more, my M should be, change it to red, should be right here. O is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away from my yellow line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. N is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And there is my triangle. Okay? Now, here's the key. If you look at this ordered pair right here, let's go back to the x. Reflect over the x. The ordered pair for my N was at 2, 3. My N over here is 2, negative 3. So if you notice, the y changes sign. When you reflect over the y, the x changes sign. So, when you reflect over the x stays the same. And then the y coordinate changes sign. And the opposite here, if you reflect over the y, that means the x changes sign. So basically the axis you're reflecting over stays the same. The other coordinate changes sign. So you don't have to graph it every time if you remember this. All right. To graph a reflection image on a coordinate plane, graph the image of each vertex. Each vertex in the image must be the same distance from the line of reflection as the corresponding vertex in the pre-image. So, let's look at this one. We are going to graph these points, A, B, and C. A is at 2, 4. 2, A. B is at 6, 4. And C is at 3, 1. Okay? Now, we are going to reflect this over x equals 2. Now, let's look at this. X equals 2 is right here, and I've said x equals 2. So that means my line needs to only go through the x. So if I reflect this, first of all, my A is on my x. So it does not move. It can't move. It stays right where it is. My B is 1, 2, 3, 4 away from my x equals 2 line. So I need to go 4 in the opposite direction. 1, 2, 3, 4. So my B is right here. My C is 1 away from my line. So I need to go 1 in this direction. So here is my new triangle, right there. And if I was to fold on that line, they should match up. Now, we are going to reflect these over the x and the y. Again, we do not need to graph those. I'm going to do it without graphing first, and then I will do it with the graph. So if I'm reflecting over the y, that means the y stays the same, because that's the one I'm talking about. This one changes sign. So this is going to be negative. So let's look at this. If I look at f, my f prime, the x is going to change sign. So it becomes 1. And my y stays the same. G prime. My x is going to change sign, which is 5. And my y stays the same. H prime. My x changes sign, 3, and my y stays the same. So let's graph it just to make sure. -1, 3. This is the original. -5. -5, 1, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. And -3 right here. So this is F, G, H. Let's see if we're right. We're going to do it over the y-axis. So if I do that, it's going to become, F is 1 away, so I'm going to put the 1 here. H is 1, 2, 3, so I got to count 1, 2, 3 in the other direction. And G is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, let's see if those match up. F is at 1, 3. That's exactly what I got here. G is at 5, 1. That's exactly what I got here. And H is at 3, 5. Exactly what I got here. Now, the second one says it reflects on the x-axis. So if I have x, y, which one stays the same this time? My x stays the same. My y is going to change sign. So this becomes, instead of, it was 2, 4, it's going to change to 2, negative 4. My D was at 5, 2. It's going to change to 5, negative 2. And my E is at 6, 3. It is going to change to 6, negative 3. And you all can grab that one on your own. Now, this one says it's going to reflect on y equals 1. I'm just going to show you where y equals 1, and you all are going to grab this one yourself. Here is 1 on the y. It says only y, so it goes through the y. You all can do x equals negative 2 on your own. They all need to be done in order for you to get the full credit. Okay? Now, we are now going to talk about reflecting it on y equals x and y equals negative x. Okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and give you the rules. When it is y equals x, the x and the y change places. Okay? When it's y equals negative x, the x and the y change places or switch and change sign. Now, let me show you why. Here is our order pair. Okay? We're going to kind of make a table so you can see it. All right? So, A. A is at 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's A. B is at 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. B. And C is at 3. 1, 2, 3, 1. Now, when I talk about y equals x, y equals x is this line right here. So if I fold on that line, where does everything go? Well, let's look at this. If I take my x value, okay? If I plug in my x value, if you notice, if I plug in my x value here, it becomes my y, and vice versa. So if I fold on this line, they're just the opposite. So if I had, sorry, I'm done with this. I'm going back. If I had 2, 4, my x now becomes my y. It becomes 4, 2. If I say 6, 4, my x now becomes my y. It becomes 4, 6. And if I say 3, 1, my x becomes my y. It becomes 1, 3. So this would be my new graph. Are you ready? 4, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. If I was to fold on this line, this is where A would go. 6, 4 is now 4, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is where B prime would be. And C is at 1, 3. So you would go to the 1, be my new graph. And it looks crazy. So it's easier if you follow the chart instead of trying to graph it. So if I do y equals negative x, remember, they switch, and they change sign. So they switch, and they change sign. Again, 6, 4. They're going to switch, and they're going to change sign. And 3, 1, they're going to switch and change sign. Because instead of you graphing it that way, you are reflecting it over this line. Okay? Now, again, I don't like using the graph for this. I basically just like using my ordered pairs. So I'm going to do one ordered pair here and one ordered pair here. So for f, if I reflect it on y equals x, remember y equals x is switch. That's all you're doing. So this becomes 3, negative 1. E is y equals negative x. This is switch and change sign. So this becomes negative 3, negative 6. Okay? All right, so let's take a look at this. I am going to do A, I'm going to do 1, and I'm going to do 5. If I reflect A on the x-axis, what letter would it land on? Well, here's the x-axis. So let's look. A, 1, 2, 1, 2. It would land on C. Okay? Now, it says E on y equals negative 1. Y equals negative 1 is right here. So this is my line of reflection. Where is E? Here it is. So it goes, y equals negative 1. Boom, boom. This one does not have an ordered pair, but you can tell me that it lands at negative 3, 0. Okay? So it does not have to land on an ordered pair, but if it does, you can just tell me the letter. Okay? Now, for this, you're going to tell me what is the line of symmetry. Well, let's look here. Where do you think they would come together? Well, let's look. Let's try this. 1. I'm just following. Oh, right here, which is the x-axis. Now, let's look at the next one. Where is that one going to land? Well, let's look at our ordered pair. This A prime is at 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 4, negative 2. This A is at 4, negative 2. So it looks like my y value stays the same. Oh, the y-axis. Now, some of these could be y equals x. Some of them could be y equals negative x. So be careful on those. All right? And then you need to graph these and tell me the y equals x or y equals negative x. Again, you do not need to graph them. If you just want to write the ordered pairs right here, you can. It's up to you. Okay? And that is it. You have one more video to watch after this.